Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right. Once again, we are on straight out of the dungeons of podcasting. I am the MoJoKing. He is the great Donnie Oooh, and we are Hidden Gems Football. How are you doing today, Mr. Ooh?
I'm doing pretty good. Straight from the 36 chambers. No, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm fighting with my lighting here. So I don't know. I looked much prettier a little while ago. Whatever. It's fine.
Listen, I got glasses, so I can't tell.
All right. This episode, we're not doing our typical thing because obviously the Super Bowl is still a week away. But I did want us to hit this off really quick. A couple of things. One thing we learned about the Eagles. One thing we learned about the Chiefs. My man's always prepared. I am not. All right. But anyway, before we get started, I think we're going to date this a little bit because it's probably going to come out a couple of days later than we're actually recording. But just today, Tom Brady retired. One quick question for you. Do you think he stays retired this time?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, shoot, he had nothing else left to lose. I mean, he already lost the marriage. So, I mean, like, it is what it is. Shoot, you're 46 and washed. You know, just go back, go see a little $300 million payday for Fox and call it a day. You know, spend some time with your kids.
Yeah. I don't think he'll ever admit it, but I think deep down he probably wishes he never came back this season. And I don't think he's coming back again. I don't think he's going to worry about it. Just right off in the sunset. All right, now let's get into some of the Super Bowl information. So there's a bunch of things going around as far as the Eagles and the Chiefs, and people are going to have a million opinions, and we're going to have our opinions too. But looking back in the playoffs so far, is there anything in particular that you have a take about as far as the Philadelphia Eagles?
Do I? All right. The Eagles, to me, and this is coming from me, this is like a public service announcement. The thoughts and views of Donnie Oooh does not really, Hidden Gen Football may not approve of, but these are my thoughts. Eagles fans are so unlikable. They're so unlikable. And this is coming from a Jets fan. So I know people probably look at me and like, you have no right to talk because your team is not even in the tournament. And yeah, you do have a point. And I'm not a Giants fan either. But the Eagles fans walk around like there's this juggernaut. Like they've just dominated serious competition. The Eagles, The Eagles won the first game, the divisional playoff against the Giants. They blew the Giants out. But the Giants were scared. You had Daniel Jones that acted like he didn't know how to play quarterback anymore. You had Dayball, going forward on 4th and 8th and on his first drive in the first quarter when they're only down by 7. That whole team, the moment was too big for the team, and the Eagles took advantage of it. Great. That's what you're supposed to do as a good team. We get to the championship game. And yes, Brock Purdy was 7-0 coming into that game. But Brock Purdy wasn't the starter coming into the season. No, that was Trey Lance. He wasn't the backup coming into the season. No, that was Jimmy G. He was the third string quarterback. Not only was he the third string quarterback, as I've said time and time again on Hidden Gems Football, he was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last pick of the draft. Fine. But he was the starter for that game. Less than a quarter in, he gets knocked out with the elbow injury, with the UCL tear. They have to put in 38, 39, 40-year-old Josh Johnson, who they just signed in December. You could tell he was looking like, I got to play in this game? I thought I was just along for the ride. And then they knock him out. He goes into concussion protocol. So that effectively means they have 0 quarterbacks. You know who is the emergency quarterback? Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Mr. All Everything, but trust and believe, he didn't come into that game thinking, yeah, I'm going to have to get the wristband on and start calling the plays. So they had to end up putting Brock Purdy back in back in the game knowing that he cannot pass whatsoever. He can't pass, he can't throw the ball more than 3 yards because his ligament is gone. For as genius as Shanahan is, how can you expect the team as a whole to have any type of confidence when they know they're effectively playing the game armless? They have no running backs. I mean, they have no quarterbacks. And yeah, to Philly's credit, they kept their foot on the neck and they choked them out. But I'm giving this to you Eagles fans out there, if there are a couple of y'all, even though I know y'all been chirping all effing week. Excuse my French, because I almost slipped. Do y'all really think that y'all are 24 points better than San Francisco? Yes, San Francisco, shot themselves in the foot time and time again with inopportune penalties. But do you know what kind of morale that took on what kind of blow to the morale that took on the San Francisco defense, knowing no matter how many times we stopped them, there's no way in hell we could score? So, I mean, even the offense, you got all these weapons you can't even utilize. You got Kittle, you got Debo, you got Ayuk, you got McCaffrey. You got all these weapons you can't utilize because you have no quarterback. And y'all acting like y'all freaking juggernaut. Now, I'm going to go to these notes real quick so I can actually bottom line this. They say the Niner fans are whining because it wouldn't have made a difference about their quarterback injuries. Yeah, it did. Once he went down and once the fourth string went down, the game was over. The game was over in the second quarter. I'm watching that game. I'm so frustrated. They literally couldn't pass the ball. The Eagles could put 6 defensive linemen on the field the whole game and don't have to worry about ever getting beat. Yeah, the Eagles have been dominant and physical, but they haven't been tested at all. Like I said, ooh, such a freaking juggernaut. If y'all get out of here with this, here's my 2 stats, and before I pass it over to you, Mo. Jalen Hurts, that in his 2 playoff games, two playoff victories, he's thrown for a combined 275 yards passing. That's an average of 5.6 yards per attempt. Yeah, that's such a great quarterback. Great quarterback. Y'all Eagles fans really need to calm down. Y'all really do. And you know what? And this might surprise you, even though I might renege later on. I actually think the Eagles might have a great chance to win the Super Bowl this year. I really do. But I think that's more on when we get to the Chiefs. That's more on the Chiefs side than actually what the Eagles are going to do. But to act like they're the greatest team ever, like this is a reincarnation of the '85 Chicago Bears. They're not even the greatest team from this season. I swear, these Eagles fans. Mo, I'll pass it to you.
All right. Number one, you Eagles fans out there, I love you guys. All right. You worked up a sweat there, huh?
Yes, I did. With this coffee, too.
All right. The fans are going to be fans, so, let them talk their trash. They got the Eagles in the Super Bowl. It's been a while. But there's really no reason to be so confident from anything that's happened in the playoffs so far, because the Giants, we all know that they played the best of their capabilities to even get into the playoffs. And then the 49ers never had a chance once the injuries happened. I mean, honestly, I still wish Shanahan would have just let McCaffrey quarterback, because at least there could have been a threat of a pass. Purdy was never going to throw the ball. And I think, the Eagles picked that up. Everybody knew that pretty much right away.
Yo, what's up? I'm Desmond, and I'm the host of Hip to the Games, a podcast from 19 Media Group, where the brilliance of basketball and hip-hop's past and present is genuinely appreciated. Join me every other Friday as we celebrate some of the greatest artists, albums, moments, songs, bars, punchlines, NBA teams, players, just anything and everything to do with the game of rap and the game of basketball. See, if you like basketball and hip-hop, that means you're hip to the game. But no matter where you fall on that spectrum, I encourage you to join the fun every other Friday on your favorite podcast platform, courtesy of the great 19 Media Group.
All right, enough about the Eagles. Let's get over to the Chiefs. Donnie, I actually want to start this one a little. I'd rather start this one. All right. So,
I'm going through menopause.
got the heat flashes going. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, as far as the Chiefs go, the one thing that I've been noticing, and sometimes I think I get a little bit too focused in and I have to step back and see what the rest of the world is saying. And I was kind of stunned that by two things as far as the Chiefs go. One, that people seem to think that Mahomes, when he started practicing full and when he was coming into the game, it seemed like people really started to think that Mahomes was going to be 100%. What did they think a high ankle sprain looked like? Him in that game was amazing that he was looking that good and as mobile as he was considering the high ankle sprain. You know, he was able to push off on most throws. Sometimes you could tell that he couldn't push off fully, but he looked pretty comfortable. Now transitioning into the Super Bowl, people now have doubts because he did not look like the normal Mahomes. Again, high ankle sprain, what did you expect? Now he's going to have another 2 weeks to heal up. And guess what? High ankle sprain, still going to be a problem. But he proved last week that he is comfortable enough and healthy enough to win despite being hobbled somewhat. For me, I think you kind of let the cat out of the bag with you. But for me, whether I pick the Chiefs or the Eagles next week, it won't really be that dependent on his ankle. I think he's good enough. He's shown that he can work within the pocket. Shocker, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Not really that surprising. He can do it. So the ankle stuff is getting on my nerves a little bit. We already know what it's going to be. He's going to look about like he did this week, except maybe a little bit healthier. You know, the Eagles might be better. The Chiefs might have an off day, whatever, but I don't think the ankle is going to necessarily be a huge factor. It's nothing to talk about anymore. All right, Donnie, what's with you and the Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm going to get into is the tendencies to be a little bit too cute, the tendencies to be somewhat sloppy. And I have an analogy that I'm going to say before that. There was one play, I believe, early in the game where Mahomes threw to Kelsey, and Kelsey was questionable coming into the game because he had tweaked his back, right? So there was a play that he threw to Kelsey, and then they pitched it. I'm not sure if it was the McKinnon or somebody, but I know they pitched it to a running back coming like a hook and lateral play, and the running back wasn't able to catch the ball cleanly, so they was able to recover, but it could have been for an extra 15 yards. And I'm like, what are they doing? Like, you have Cincinnati on their heels, and you're starting with this sloppy, arrogant play already. Like, it could have came back to bite them. Unfortunately, it didn't. Fortunately, Cincinnati, even though we're not talking about them, end up being the Bungles, and they coughed up the game at the end at the most inopportune time. But the analogy that I'm going to get into when it comes to the Chiefs is something I've been thinking about for years, for the last couple of years, because there's, besides the physical similarities between Patrick Mahomes and the one and only Steph Curry, the Chiefs and the Golden State Warriors of the NBA, they're very similar. They're very similar, especially in these last 6 to 8 years. Now, the Warriors in basketball, they've always been a type of team that, because of their greatness, because of their generational greatness of Steph Curry, and to a lesser degree, Klay Thompson, even though I know that's your favorite, they've been able to overcome their mistakes. They've been turnover prone for the last 8 years, and sometimes it makes the game a little closer than it should be. The Chiefs are the same way. Like, I'm going to just say this verbatim so I can kind of streamline myself. The Chiefs remind me of the Golden State Warriors to a degree because the generation of talents of Patrick Mahomes and Steph Curry. They've been so good, so naturally good, that it'll lead to sloppiness at times and the likable arrogance by the collective teams, meaning the Chiefs and the Warriors, because they know at most times their mistakes will be covered by the generational greatness that I just explained about. The one thing they also have in common, to me, is the fatigue by the masses of this success. this will be the Chiefs' third Super Bowl in the last 4 years. And, you know, the Warriors' dynastic run force for championships in 8 years. Anytime another player or a team shows just a glimpse of potential to knock them off, the media at large runs in the direction of the opposition. Memphis in the NBA, even though Memphis hasn't won anything. And just this past week, the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. I mean, you had Cincinnati, the mayor talking stuff. You had saying, yeah, Burrowhead Stadium. You had Joe Burrow talking his stuff. You had Eli Apple, the best mouth in the league, talking his stuff. And unfortunately, when you talk all that stuff and you don't succeed, you got to take everything that comes back at it, right? So due to all this fatigue, it starts to create narratives that boost the stature of these also-rans that ultimately prove to be that they ultimately prove to be unproven. Oh, yes, let me say that again, but I won't. Now to the credit of some, they've taken a step back and reduced it to a rivalry, but not even just a rivalry. Do you know I believe on Get Up on ESPN that they compared the rivalry between Mahomes and Burrow to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird? Are you serious? Why? Like I said, this is Mahomes' third trip to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years. This was his fifth straight appearance in the conference game, all at home, meaning they've had home field advantage for the last 5 years running. Burrow just completed his third season. Okay. Two of those 3 seasons, he ended up in the AFC Championship game. Yeah. And while the pace may be the same, the results are still incomplete. For all the noise coming into this game, that Burrow was 3-0, 3-0 against Mahomes, in the games that meant the most, which is the championship games, guess what? They're tied 1-1. Burrow won last year, Mahomes won this year. And Mahomes won this year hobbled with half of the talent that he had the previous year. Remember last week when I said team? The success from these quarterbacks are determined by the overall team around them. And while I say, Cincinnati had the more marquee players in the positions, guess who was the best team this past Sunday? It was the Chiefs. The KC said after the game, all the chirping that they heard pissed them off. All the comments of Burrowhead Stadium and lighting up victory cigars, was a motivating factor. The gumption, matter of fact, not even the gumption, the guts of Pat Mahomes running on a gimpy ankle for that first down that ultimately led to an unnecessary roughness call was the difference. To me, that run by Mahomes was the difference. The difference in heart, the difference in experience, and the difference between putting it all on the line when it mattered most. The difference between being a made team and being an also-ran. The Chiefs, to me, proved a lot of doubters or dissenters wrong this past week, and proved that, like I said last week, and this is not even me patting myself on the back, Barry Horowitz style, you come for the king, you best not miss. They came for the king, and the king proved he still had the crown. I rest my case.
All right. I have nothing to add. We're going to get into who we pick as winners, spreads, totals, some prop bets all next week. Donnie, sign us out for now.
Before I do my little spiel, I do have this one announcement, actually 2 of them, but one announcement first. Please check out my podcast, The Salty Thoughts of Donnie Oooh, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor.fm. This week, next week, February 6th, on a Monday, will be my 150th episode, which is a milestone in itself. Also, it will be the last episode under the moniker Donnie Oooh. To find out why, don't get me wrong, I'm not giving up the podcast. It's just we're going into a reinvention. We're going into a new phase, a new chapter, if you will. But to find out why, please check out the Salty Thoughts of Donnie Oooh this coming Monday, February 6th, for the 150th episode, because we actually have reached the end of the road to 150. And even though this is going to come out after said date, I like to wish the one and only Tyler McDowell a very, very happy birthday. If you want to know how old he is, ask him. I ain't divulging all that. But regardless, Tyler, my brother, like
Tyler's 19.
Oh shoot. Yeah, you know, shoot. There's a reason why his skin is so glowing on GI. Trust me. But like I said, no, I really wish you a great happy birthday. And bro, all the best. And check out Hidden Gems Golf with the Hidden Gem Czar himself, because I guess I'm gonna promo that for him, because we're trying to keep this short, but you know, I'm long-winded. So anyway, with all that being said, Hidden Gems Football is a part of the 19 Media Group. Bye. Love you, bud.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
This lighting is pissing me off. You know why? I wouldn't be so upset if it wasn't perfect before, but whatever. All right.
Sure. Look, this is my lighting. I was gonna get a ring, you know, one of those ring lights, and I'm like, no, that looks too pretty. A hidden gem quickie.
Yeah. Yes. What happened? The lighting was perfect before, and now I'm dark. Not there's anything wrong with being dark, of course. All right. He is the Donnie. He is the Donnie. See, I told you.
Donnie.
He is the Don. He is the Don.